So I do think all publicity is good publicity until perhaps you've reached a certain stage when you are well known enough.
Jo Lam is one of Hong Kong's most controversial KOLs. This Oxford graduate went from law to the entertainment industry and now works in insurance. What is his mindset and how does he deal with constant criticism?
So Joe,
Darren.
on to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's like, I think last time we met was like a month ago.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things happened to you.
Indeed.
Yeah, I think it was February, and then he even told me that the incidents with Derek. And then, but today, I want to focus on something that I always want to ask you because I'm in the real estate industry.
Right.
And then I really want to explore how can someone to go online, and a lot of people in our industry are really afraid to put themselves out there.
Yeah.
So I want to start with a couple questions about, how you deal with haters. And then, there are a lot of people that don't really agree with how you promote yourself or present yourself.
Yeah.
And then I want to know, like, why do you want to create that image? Is that for fun, or that's you really believe in what you said?
Well, I think it's quite simple. You've got to know what your goal is, and you've got to focus on that goal. In my opinion, you can't worry about anything else, how you look, what you're thought of, whatever, until you're known. So I do think all publicity is good publicity until perhaps you've reached a certain stage when you are well known enough. Now, so my goal, the one I set out with, is to be known. It's simple as that. There's nothing else to it. And in order to do that, it takes whatever. That's why perhaps sometimes the publicity that I receive is negative, because I don't care. My goal is simple. You've got to know who I am. And I think I've, to a certain extent, achieved it.
I see. So I want to dive down a little bit to know more about how does that, their thought process and how to get towards it, and then your journey. Like how does a barrister like yourself become the Jo Lam that people think about you today?
I've hardly changed ever since I was, I think, 16 or so, when I was still in boarding school in the UK. I only met up with some of my old friends recently, and the view is that it's always been my way. I didn't really know what to do post-university. I was at Oxford in my third year, and I was doing mathematics with a bit of philosophy, and it was completely impractical, irrelevant to the real world. Never had to think about a job. Looking back, I do blame my mother for allowing me too much freedom, and I never properly looked for a job. So I had no choice. My then girlfriend was studying law at Oxford, a year below me, and she said to me, you know what, you can debate, and you seem to be very logical, analytical. Why don't you try and switch to law instead? And I then simply didn't want to enter the society and work. So I said, all right, let me do some law training, study a course, and see what happens. So I then went to London and did a law conversion course for a year. Then I realized law is not hard. I mean, a common misconception, and there's so much misconception everywhere about everything. I realized law is definitely easier than the disciplines I was in. It was easier than mathematics, it was way easier than philosophy. So I didn't struggle, I had no problem with it. So I thought, why not continue and receive the sort of qualifications in order to become a proper lawyer. I then did exactly that, back in Hong Kong, and I was qualified 2 years later and became a barrister, because I didn't want to work, I didn't want to do an office job. And barristers are very much self-employed, and you get to go to the court. I wanted to be out there, I didn't want to sit behind a desk. So it went like that, naturally. I didn't put much thought to it. Now, then I realized you can't actually make that much money in Hong Kong these days being a barrister. No one would tell you, review the true, real figures until you are sitting next to a pupil master, you being the pupil, and you see the numbers. And then I was shocked. I mean, it was too bad. It wasn't too bad, but it wasn't good enough. And there were 2 reported cases, court cases that involved barristers as one of the parties to the case. It was then through these 2 cases that I realized, oh no, I don't want to be like them in the long run. It was 2 pretty senior barristers, but they're not really like QC, Queen's Counsel, they're not like that level, but they're both experienced, well-known within the industry, with about 20 years of experience. Both of them, during the course of the hearing, revealed to the court and then to the public that they were making about 200,000 on average a month. Now that sum isn't too bad, okay? That's all right. But I'm afraid I had expected more. And my calculation then was that I could become like them, but I wouldn't be able to do much better than that. And I'm not happy with the level of earnings. So then I decided I needed to do something else.
So I want to see how you think about media, because something that a lot of people don't understand. And then for us, we always thought about, with DIY, learning about our personal brand and so on. So how do you think about that, the media side? And then you being the controversial, a lot of people don't like you or hate you. How does that feel, and how does it make you conceptualize the branding and so on?
Well, I was exposed to the media mainly because while I was training to become a proper barrister, my then girlfriend became Miss Hong Kong, and the media enjoyed reporting us. And then they realized that this boyfriend of hers was an interesting guy, so they came on to me. It was that simple. So it was a complete coincidence. There was no planning. And I also decided to, around the same, almost exactly the same period, I ran for district council. I was always very interested in politics, and I had been to schools in the UK which were very, very politically motivated. So we were always taught to participate in political stuff. So it was an experiment for me. I didn't want to win, but I wanted to experience it. But there was a sort of synergy between this entertainment world and the political side. And the media just, got a little crazy. I was actually officially the most reported candidate in that year's election. So that's how I got the coverage. Now, it was completely by coincidence, but then it was my reaction to that got me where I am now. Now, that's what happened. Essentially, I think there's not much point to plan too much, to care too much about what you say. Contrary to what a lot of PR and marketing people would do, I think the less you prepare, the better. Because I had realized from quite early on, at least for myself, I thrive on being spontaneous. Preparation kills me. So if I cannot be too prepared anyway, might as well go the other extreme, right? Just forget about being prepared. I also had role models to learn from. That's one thing that I really want to stress. The way I learned since a pretty young age is look up to those public figures who really achieved long-lasting success. And we're talking about the grandest figures such as Winston Churchill. The current Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, is a huge inspiration to me. I started to pay attention to his work back in 2008 when I was still in boarding school. I think he really inspired me. He taught me that actually being a little bit of a buffoon, making a fool of yourself is actually the best way to be endeared and be noticed. So I simply adopted some of the thinking and techniques that these people used. I had read all of their biographies by different authors, and I tried it. And initially, I think a lot of people in Hong Kong were confused because, interestingly, there aren't that many people like that in Hong Kong. But sooner or later, I realized whatever is misunderstood is generally hated. I would say the biggest thing about the perceived hatred against me comes from a sense of uncertainty. They don't know what I mean, whether I'm being serious, whether I'm making a joke or what, but it's intriguing. So they follow my stuff and they react to it a lot. Because what I'm doing is certainly one of a kind. That might sound a little bit cocky, but true. But really, I think the hatred comes from confusion. But it's a superficial level of hatred, which is very interesting. It's a point that I would raise. Many haters, in one way or another, somehow get to see the other side of me, or even come across me in real person. Then their perceptions change. Because it's not a deep-rooted one. It's not a very principled one. It's just based on one or two sightings, one or two readings of my stuff. And therefore, I would say it's pretty harmless. And I can easily turn it around, as I think you might have noticed recently with the boxing stuff.
So it sounds like you conceptualize what negativity really means. So I want to go back to a little bit points about what you mentioned before, about how a lot of people in Hong Kong are negative because of very superficial. And then that's what I want to explore more, because a lot of real estate people like that. Yeah. So I know you're not in the industry. What do you think why so little Jo Lam in Hong Kong? Is it because they weight the superficial negativity too much? And what do you think that should there be more Jo Lams like that, like you in Hong Kong?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have this theory. I think Hong Kong is, we're not exactly like Japan, but there's a certain sense of Japanese culture within our work culture. Let's just talk about work culture. Japanese employees like to fit in general as a society, but particularly in the workplace. They think that if they don't fit in, they have too much of an ego, individuality, then they get attacked, they get passed by others when seeking promotion, for example, because bosses like people who conform. Now, I don't think that sense in Hong Kong is as strong as Japan, but it's there. I know that people want to fit in. Let me just give you one or two examples. At the bar supposedly is one of the most individualistic industries that you can come across. All pupil barristers in Hong Kong would wear a black G2000 suit for interviews as well as for work while you are still a pupil barrister. Now, I remember vividly in my very first interview, I was wearing a Savile Row dark navy, nothing liberal, it's very conservative, single-breasted suit to interview. And I was told afterwards that my dress sense was slightly too flamboyant. Oh, for God's sake, I was wearing a Savile Row, the most proper suit that you can find, and I was told that I was being too high profile. Now, I couldn't understand it. I could not understand it at all. And even at the bar, people were looking for new pupils who were conforming. And that's really sad. Now, in my opinion, many people in Hong Kong are hungry for success, but they are doing it within a reasonable range. And what I mean is that they're not willing to give it all they can. There are certain prices they're not willing to pay for. Now, I'm not okay with that. I think either you go all out, you're all in, and you don't care what consequences your effort might bring. Now, I think that's what's necessary in life. So to put it simply, I think some people are just not trying hard enough, and they're limiting themselves in a way, thinking that you can't go out of the box in order to win something. That's not true at all. I mean, every single day I'm a living proof to people that you can actually do it this way. Just to talk about a little bit about the industry I'm currently in, the insurance industry. It's actually a very traditional, and there are many customs that newbies are expected to follow. Now, from day one, I disregarded them all, and there were so many posts on social media tagging me even directly by people within the industry, commenting that they do not believe I could survive.
I remember that.
Yeah. There was a post by a colleague in this company that I'm in, writing to me directly saying that, no one is going to become a client of Jo Lam. There's no sane person who would do that. Who can trust this person? This person's so disrespected and blah, 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 blah. And within the first month or two, I was already, top of the company's monthly lists. I was on the billboard everywhere, in the company billboards. And I simply didn't care what he said, because I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted success, but I wanted success in my own way, rather than the sort of old traditional way. And I think the world is changing so much that many old styles, be it your industry or mine, they don't work anymore. And yet we're not really keeping up.
Like there are 4,000 real estate agents on the ground, right?
Yeah. I think I do have a lot of advice for them, but I have a real story to tell you, which I think we can use and apply it to your 4,000 strong
real estate agency on the ground.
Yeah. I had a client, an insurance client, who runs a massage place. Mm-hmm. And he's a 26-year-old guy, little bit overweight, didn't look like someone who would know how to give people a massage. And turns out it was his mother who owns the place, but she's getting old, so he's now taking it over and trying to grow it as a business. And he came to me and we were talking about insurance, and then I was offering him some advice on his business. And he said, the way I'm presenting myself, the sort of marketing that I'm doing now is, we are a traditional, experienced massage place in the center of Mongkok. We have years of experience of doing orthodox Chinese Thai style massage, and you can count on us. And I said, and you expect great success from that? Because he was being quite confident. And he said, yeah, why not? I said, that's exactly what the other 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 massage places all over Hong Kong are saying, right? Mm-hmm. No one's going to say they're unorthodox. No one is going to say they offer improper services. It's nothing that makes you stand out other than the fact that you're a bit overweight and you don't look like a massage guy at all. And he was baffled. And I was baffled about his being baffled. I didn't understand why he would. Then I gave him some advice, which he immediately took on. And I think I sort of inspired him. I said, just look at the way you look, okay? And accept it, first of all. Now, I'm not saying that you're not good, but you've got to brand yourself. What about telling people that you can offer a massage in Hong Kong with the biggest ever strength?
That's kind of cool.
He was a bit shocked because he said to me, he said, well, what if my clients don't want that? I'm going to scare off quite a section of clientele who prefer, like me, for example, people who are more gentle. Come on, I don't want to be too hard pressed. But I said, just think. Step one. What's step one for your business to get noticed?
Be different, right?
Which one is going to get noticed sooner? Of course, my strategy. People are going to be talking about you online. People are going to be thinking, oh, look at this idiot. He's presenting himself as that. Not every client wants that. So maybe he's going to go out of business. People are going to laugh at him. But you know what? My girlfriend is going to be the first person to go to him because she's been complaining non-stop about, receiving massages which are not tough enough for her. And she's always been asking for men rather than women to do it for her. And she always keeps asking her to go harder. Can you try harder for me? Now, the truth is, of course, initially, he will get noticed, but there will be less business. But eventually, he's going to develop enough of a special kind of clientele that his business will be good enough, more than good enough for sure. And he will attract clients who ask for more gentle services. And I'm sure he can do it. I'm sure he will offer it. He's not going to turn those clients away. No, sorry, we only offer the strongest manpower here. Go away, you're not what we are asking for. We're looking after, come on, that's not going to happen. So that's my idea. By limiting yourself, by making yourself slightly edgier, eventually you're going to reach a wider audience. Now that's completely counterintuitive, but it is true. It is so true. And I also think people are being slightly too honest when it comes to branding themselves.
So I really want to dive into how being controversial actually helps a professional career.
Yeah.
And then one more question. It's something that I always want to ask you.
Yeah.
Like being the controversial guy, you get a lot of threats or hate message, right? Like what is the worst thing you've got in your life?
Well, nothing much really. I do receive threatening messages online all the time. And I imagine I don't receive as many as some other hated figures do because of my previous background as a lawyer. And the way to deal with such threats are quite easy because netizens who dare send out such messages are actually rather uneducated ones. So by sending them back a little threat, they get scared pretty often. I only received a message 2 days ago threatening to come beat me up somewhere on the street. And I said, I welcome you, but I'm sending your profile and your message to the police, and I will play with you, and I really need you to sustain my next wave of publicity. So please talk more, and I'm cap screening all the conversation. I like it very much, and I really enjoy it. And he just disappeared, so he wasn't really up to my level. But what was your question?
No, it's more like, what's the worst threat you got? I think that's one of them. And
people shout at me on the street.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
Nothing major. And I shout back. So it's pretty fun.
So it's a fair thing then, I guess.
Oh, very fair. And I like it very much. I like heckling. I think it's a very healthy thing.
Yeah.
And I'm very good at making comebacks, so I don't mind.
See, this is exactly what I want to talk to you about because I told you before, there's 3 things I want to talk about, which obviously I'm not going to let the audience do, the cat out of the bag or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I guess to summarize it, really, you feel a lot of people just care too much about the branding and don't realize that you're trying to fit in too much.
Yeah.
Am I correct?
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, well, in the next episode, I want to talk more about the media and then what do you want to do and what's meaning success to you? Thanks for watching. What do you think of this episode? Please let us know in the comment below and be sure to hit the subscribe button to keep in touch with us for upcoming videos. But before we go, I want to give a big shout out to Patina Design Lab. They're the one who help us in making our brand, our direction, as well as these videos. They are a strategic design consultancy firm that help businesses with a wide range of design services, from industrial design, branding, graphic design, art direction, content creation, and many more. They are a very talented bunch, and I urge you to check out their website for their work. That's all for today, and see you next time. Cheers.